Yes, people. What's going on? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to United View, and welcome to another Flex's View. This time, last time I wanted to talk Amarim. This time it's time to talk Ineos because you saw the show this morning. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Me and Owen were discussing the latest cuts that are incoming with Ineos, and it caused a lot of debate. It caused a lot of opinion, a lot of back and forth. I had my say, Owen had his, and you guys had yours. And since then, Jamie Jackson earlier on today has done a piece saying that Sir Jim Ratcliffe believes his decision to cut about 200 more jobs at Man United is necessary to help the club avoid going bust. Ratcliffe understands his decisions are unpopular, but feels there's a lack of awareness outside the club regarding the full picture of United's situation. So Jim Ratcliffe understands his decisions are tough to take, essentially, but he's saying he has to go ahead and make them. Man United insiders say the club would have run out of cash without the £240 million Sir Jim Ratcliffe had injected. The final 80 million was paid in December, and his shareholding was raised to 27.7%. United's cash reserves would have run dangerously low without that. Is that most of it? Yeah, it is. Look, and this is why we have to talk about this, okay? And I want to do this in a way that, again, we all have our views. Where to start? Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, right, have to change stuff. They have to. They have to. The way that Man United has been run, it's all there in the books. We can see the financial figures. We're going to do a piece with Kieran Maguire very, very soon because I want to understand this bigger. I want to understand this, dispelling myths and things that we say online and things that people might just say for likes and clicks and all of the stuff where we get emotional online, where we're not specialists in this. I'm doing a piece with Kieran Maguire on this very, very soon. But it's there for us all to see the mismanagement of the football club. We can all agree in that. And that bit there where it says that insiders at United say the club would have run out of cash without the £240 million Sir Jim injected into it. The final 80 million was paid in December. And United's cash reserves would have run dangerously low without that. Now, listen, you can choose to hear stuff like that and say PR. You know what I mean? It's just PR. It's just PR. But we can see the failings of our clubs when the financial results are released. Yes, we're making money, but look at the money that we owe, the debt that's on this club, the debt that we owe from failed transfers and outstanding fees to be paid, to mismanagement of the club's finances, etc., etc. And where does that stem from? I know this video is about Ineos, but it's the Glazers. And I think what's going on is there's been a lot made about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, and rightly so, because I'm gonna get to why they've been complicit and why they haven't made a good start. However, it seems like we're losing focus of the original problem that still exists, which is still the Glazers. That is why this club is in this mess. So when you're seeing things like Sir Jim Ratcliffe putting in 240 million has, essentially stopped our cash reserve from running out, it's alarming. Now, you can choose to say that's PR, it's whatever. They're just leaking that information to Jamie Jackson at The Guardian so we can do a piece and control the narrative. And the truth of the matter is, I'm not going to put my hand on my heart and say that's 100%, that's not what happened. I can't do that. But I do have a degree of understanding on a personal opinion that I can clearly see, and I've made my own mind up on this, I can clearly see that the club's mashed up. We've got no money. We can't afford things. And it's tired. It's old. And listen, people at Manchester United in senior positions clearly have not been doing their jobs properly. The fact that Ed Woodward and John Murtough and Richard Arnold and all of these types of guys, plus more, they weren't doing their jobs properly. They weren't. And there's probably people in other departments also failing or not doing their jobs properly. The institution is broke. Now, that doesn't mean that it's everybody, because I know an awful lot of people at Manchester United who definitely are doing their jobs properly. And of course, I'm not a surveyor of looking at everything with a fine-tooth comb to know exactly what department's doing this and exactly what department's doing that. Are they being productive? Are they doing this? But one thing you have to look at is the business of Manchester United does need to be more streamlined. Clearly, how have we justified having the most amount of staff out of all the clubs? And people like Man City, who have obviously been way more successful for different reasons and different ways. But we had the biggest staff by a mile compared to all the other Premier League teams. But our results and our findings and the way the club's been run, there's a big disparity between how much staff you got and the sort of, what's the word, for want of a better word, the output from all of these people. So Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos are going to go in there and go, well, do we need that? Do we need this? Do we need this? Why are we spending so much on that? What are you lot doing? Have you lot been doing your jobs? That's part and parcel of it. That doesn't mean he's in bed with the Glazers and this, that, and the other. That's something that needs to happen. Whoever takes over this football club, Qatar could have walked straight in here, cleared all the debt, and still reduce all of like the reductions that we're seeing, because they might go, well, there's no point having that department. There's no point having that person doing this and that person doing that. The business is broke. So I understand that. I understand why tough decisions have to be made. That's not our gripe. The gripe with Ineos is the fact that they have made poor decisions that have added to the mess. That is what we need to call out for me. That is the situation where you go, hang on a minute, that is your fault. The communication or lack of thereabouts with fans hasn't been good enough. We know about the ticket prices, not great. It's distasteful taking away Sir Alex from the ambassadorial role. Many people, probably many of you who are now obviously pissed off at the moment, we've seen the January transfer window. A lot of heat is on the Inos right now. But a lot of you were saying that when Sir Alex was taking off that ambassadorial role, it was more like, well, yeah, we do need to come away from that. He's got enough money as it is. He can do what he wants. He's still got the keys to Old Trafford, but in terms of paying that much money, etc., etc., that was the feeling. I was like, oh, come on, man, you must be able to give Sir Alex his peace. Like, he deserves to decide when he don't want to do that anymore. A lot of you guys said it was also ruthless when Dan Ashworth was sacked. I claimed it was incompetent. So there's different ways of dissecting this thing, and I think that not one statement applies all the way across. Have Ineos helped make things better since they've arrived? No, they haven't. They've made some bad decisions where we're questioning decisions and they don't fill us with confidence. But some of the stuff that gets said, like that this morning's show that we were talking about, which is, you know, Sir Jim basically allowed the Glazers to stay. They would have basically sold up if he didn't give. No, it's just not true. It's just not true. They had other options. So I just think we need to be careful not to talk out both sides of our mouths, as Owen says, of like completely, when you cuss Ineos, cuss them for the right things is what I'm saying, because that's what I'm on. I've been calling out a lot of things they've been doing that I didn't think is great. I went in on that Sir Jim Ratcliffe thing with the Dan Ashworth, when I even got told to calm down, move on. Then I got told to calm down with the Sir Alex Ferguson thing, when Sir Alex obviously lost the ambassadorial thing. I got told to calm down with that. We've got to make cuts. But then now, obviously, there's more jobs that are being lost. Now everyone's saying that Ineos are this and Ineos are that. And then, we're getting big pieces coming out saying that he's doing this to basically stop us eventually going bust. Now, is that a bit of a dramatization? I think so. Man United still generates huge amounts of money. And the way they've used that is on rubbish contracts, on players who shouldn't be here, etc., etc. And are Ineos, and this is what we have to find out in this summer, are Ineos going to be as tough on those players who are draining our resources, who shouldn't be here? That's Omar Barada's job. That's Christian Vivel's job. That's Jason Wilcox's job, and whoever else it is in there now. It wasn't Dan Ashworth. Whoever else it's their job. So we're going to find out. There's a lot we're going to find out about Ineos. But I will admit, the start we've made in this year, coming up to the anniversary of them being here, 1 year in charge, it hasn't been good. And especially the back end of that year. It started off, we're all happy in terms of saying, let's say happy, but we're all optimistic. The announcement of Omar Barada from City, we're like, oh my God, how did they get him? These guys are not playing. The hanging on for Dan Ashworth and negotiating the price when Newcastle wanted something stupid like 20 million, etc., to pay what we wanted to pay. We said, we'll go to court, mate. We'll go to the court of arbitration or whatever it was, of sport, and we're not paying that. There's all of that to do as well. And in the end, you have to say, listen, those were moves we backed. You know, when they were hanging on for when we got Mazraoui and De Ligt for that combined price, we were like, you know what, that's good business. When we hung on for Ugarte to save basically 8 million, we saved about 8 million on what PSG originally wanted from him versus what we gave. We went, yeah, that's Ineos doing things in a different way. You know, saying Marcus Rashford, sorry, you're out, you're gone. Getting rid of Anthony or the start of, you know, Malasic, we're starting to see some things. So those bits are all right. But when they're coming with bad decisions and saying, you know, we don't sure we're going to sack Eric Ten Hag, then to keep him and then spend more money on his squad, then bring Ruben Amorim in and have to pay off Eric Ten Hag and then pay Ruben Amorim for his players, then can't get many players in January because the finances are too tight. They've been complicit in that, plus raising the ticket prices. So I don't know. There does need to be like an exercise of caution because our books aren't good, guys. And I'm going to talk less about that because I'm going to wait till I do that piece with Kieran Maguire. But our books aren't good. They really, really aren't good. And something needs to be done. Something needs to happen. So we can't just have blinkers on and act like owners don't need to come in and make difficult decisions, or, you know, some owners. But the Glazers, for me, they're the ones who have pulled a blinder. People saying they ain't pulled a blind. Of course they have. They've passed all the buck on to Sir Jim Ratcliffe as a minority shareholder, and he's got to make all the decisions. So there you go. I think this is going to rumble on. It's not. It's breeding more uncertainty. Let me know what you guys think about Ineos. What's going on? Where do you stand on tough decisions need to be made, but are they getting them right? And do you trust them? That's what I want to know. Smash a like on the video, peeps. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'm out of it. Peace.